Life sometimes unfolds in a silence that no one can see. Even when a smile is on a person's face, no one knows the burdens they carry deep within their hearts. These stories carry the weight of emotions often hard to put into words. Breakdowns, attempts to start over, disappointments, and hopes hanging by a thin thread. Everything described here is meant to understand the struggle of the human soul on that fine line between darkness and light. Let's see what awaits us in today's story. Here it is. Let's get to the story. On Mother's Day morning, the sun was shining so brightly through the window that the teacup on the kitchen table seemed to glow. Evelyn Carter, a 72-year-old widow, was chopping peppers that morning, oblivious to everything else. When I heard Marcus's car, my heart raced. My son was visiting me, something he didn't do very often anymore. When the door opened, Marcus appeared. His suit was impeccable, his hair slicked back, a giant bouquet of roses in his arms. He smiled, but it wasn't the same warm smile it once had been. It was more like professional courtesy. "Mom," she said, placing the bouquet on the table. "Happy Mother's Day. I hope everything is okay." I dropped the towel in my hand and hugged him. His body was tense, as if even hugging him was making him waste time. But I ignored it. He was my son, after all. "Sit down, honey. Let's make some coffee," I said, heading towards the counter. Marcus sat in the chair, his eyes roaming the house. The old floors, the faded wallpaper, the plastic bucket I'd set up to catch the water from the roof. I knew he'd seen it all, but he said nothing. Then, as she was placing the coffee mugs on the table, she said the sentence that froze me, that took my breath away, that shook my entire world. "Mom, are you making good use of the $6,000 Vanessa sends you every month?" "I just wanted to make sure you were comfortable." I felt like time had stopped. My hands were shaking. The mug nearly fell from my hand. When I looked up at my son, I saw the look of genuine curiosity on his face. He didn't really know. He really thought. 6,000. My voice was barely above a whisper. Marcus frowned. "Yes, Mom. The money Vanessa brings you every month. She sends it regularly every month, plus the things she buys for you." My chest felt tight. I couldn't breathe. For the last 8 months, I'd been relying on help from the church. I'd lived on canned soup Pastor Williams brought me and bread donated by neighbors. I'd used blankets from the Red Cross, and my son, my only son, did he think he was sending me $6,000 every month? I opened my mouth, but no words came. Then I heard a voice at the door, the sound of high heels. That familiar, arrogant voice. Vanessa walked in. Her pink silk dress fit her body so perfectly, as if she'd stepped out of a fashion magazine. Her hair was wavy and shiny, a diamond necklace around her neck, gold bracelets on her wrists. Her scent filled the room. Chanel, expensive, showy, a perfume that reeked of indifference. He smiled, but that smile didn't reach his eyes. "Mom, Evelyn," he said, his voice fake warmth. "Happy Mother's Day. I hope you liked our gifts." I watched her silently. That woman, that perfect, brilliant, flawless woman. She hadn't given me a single penny for 8 months. But now, here she was, standing next to my son, smiling like the world's most devoted bride. "Thank you, Vanessa," I said, not letting my voice tremble. "Everything is wonderful." Marcus stood up and touched Vanessa's shoulder. "Mom, really, don't worry. Everything is under control. Vanessa thinks a lot about you." Something inside me broke, but I kept the smile on my face, because I knew, if I reacted now, Marcus wouldn't believe me. He was so captivated by that woman. He believed everything she said. "Yes, honey," I said softly. "Vanessa is very thoughtful." Vanessa looked at me. There was triumph in her eyes. A small, cold triumph, as if she were saying, "You're just an old woman. Who would believe you?" But she didn't know one thing. Evelyn Carter, was a woman who had worked as an accountant for 40 years. I had learned to read numbers, see patterns, and spot liars. And this woman had made her biggest mistake by underestimating me. After they left, I sat at the kitchen table. The sun was still shining through the window, but this time it didn't warm me. I was freezing cold inside. $6,000 every month. 8 months. Total $48,000. Where was that money? When my husband was alive, he always told me, "Evelyn, If someone is cheating on you, keep quiet. Silence is the most powerful weapon in revealing the truth. And that's exactly what I would do. I would remain silent. But this silence would come from strategy, not weakness. I got up, went into the living room, and opened my old dresser. At the bottom was the brown leather notebook my husband had given me for my birthday. I took it out, opened it to the first page, and wrote, Mother's Day. Marcus came. He said 600 month, 8 months, $48,000 total. Vanessa didn't bring anything. I got help from church. Time to learn the truth. I put down my pen and looked out the window. Children were playing outside. Neighbors were watering flowers in their gardens. Life seemed normal, but for me, nothing would ever be normal from that moment on. The first 30 seconds have passed. Now the real battle begins. The next morning, I went to the bank. First National Bank of Atlanta was a small but reliable place. I'd had an account there for 30 years. The young teller, Emily, smiled at me. Mrs. Carter, how can I help you? Emily, I said, my voice calm but firm. I need to look at bank statements for the last 8 months. I need to see if I received any transfers from my son. Emily typed something on the keyboard, then looked at the screen. Her eyebrows furrowed slightly. Mrs. Carter, there are no transfers in your name here. There's only the $2.18 interest payment for February. There are no other transactions. My heart turned cold, but I kept the expression on my face. So, is there another account? Maybe an account we opened during my wife's time? Emily checked again. No, you only have this savings account. Nothing else. I understand, I said. Thank you, Emily. When I left the bank, the humid Atlanta air hit me in the face. But I didn't feel cold. A fire had begun to burn inside me. No transfers. No accounts. Nothing. For 8 months, my son thought he was sending me money every month, but I never received the money. So, where was it? The answer was clear. It was in Vanessa's hands. Now, what would you do? Would you stay silent? Or would you confront him immediately? That afternoon, I went to church, one of the oldest in Atlanta. Pastor Williams had known me for 20 years. We sat together in his small office, my hands clasped together. Pastor, I said, I have to ask you something. How many times has the church helped me in the last 8 months? Pastor Williams took off his glasses and wiped them clean. Evelyn, we sent you food packages every week. 30 for weeks in total. Blankets, canned goods, bread. Why do you ask? Because, I said, my voice trembling. My son thought he was sending me $6,000 every month, but I never received it. Pastor Williams's face changed. First shock, then anger, then profound sadness. Evelyn, he said softly, it's abuse. Financial abuse. By your family. I know, I said, but I need proof. Just a bank statement won't do. I need to show Marcus the truth. Pastor Williams nodded. What do you want me to do? First, I said, I need your benefits records. Documentation of everything. Second, I need a lawyer. Someone who specializes in financial abuse. The pastor smiled slightly. There's someone I know. Rita Chen. She worked on legacy savings fraud cases. She's a tough but honest woman. I can take you to her. Thank you, Pastor. That day, as I left church, I looked up at the sky. The clouds were moving slowly, as if reflecting the passage of time. My husband always said, the truth comes quietly, Evelyn. Not in explosions, but in a paper trail. And that's exactly what I was going to do. I was going to leave a paper trail. I was going to write down every detail, every lie, every visit, every fake smile. Everyone has a turning point in their life. A look, a word, a memory. And sometimes, even when none of these things are present, a person feels something shift within them. It's moments like these that make up the most valuable part of stories. Because true change begins not amidst the noise, but in the depths of silence. Therefore, the narrative in this story consists of general and safe themes designed to help people understand their own inner journey. Vanessa's first mistake. That evening Vanessa called. Her voice was sweet, but to me, it just sounded annoying. Mom, Evelyn, I want to stop by tomorrow. I'll bring a little gift. Sure, Vanessa, I said. It would be nice to see you. When I hung up the phone, I opened my notebook and wrote. Vanessa called. She said, I'll bring a gift, but she never mentioned any money. She didn't mention anything for 8 months. The next day, Vanessa arrived. This time, she was wearing a green dress and carrying a large gift box. "I brought you something special," he said, smiling. I opened the box. Inside was an expensive tea set, porcelain cups and gilded saucers. "Very nice, Vanessa," I said. "Thank you." "Actually," he said, looking around, "Marcus is very busy. That's why I'm stopping by on his behalf. You know, we want you to be comfortable with the money we're giving you." That's when I set the trap. "Yes," I said, sitting down at the table. "When will you bring this month's money?" Vanessa's face froze for a moment. It was so brief. It was almost imperceptible. But as someone who has reviewed hundreds of people's accounts for 40 years, I saw that pause. "Oh," he said, quickly recovering. "I'll bring it this week." It was just a little late. "I see," I said, sipping my tea. "You brought it last month too, didn't you?" "Yes, of course," he said, but his voice trembled slightly. "What day did you bring it?" "I can't remember. On the 15th. "Yes, on the 15th. I smiled, but I made a mental note. He said it was on the 15th. Marcus said the transfer happens on the 20th of every month. Vanessa left shortly after. As she walked out the door, I stared at her. Her perfect posture, her bright smile, it was all fake. And now I was recording everything. In the silence of the night, the first piece of truth. That night, I opened my notebook again and compared the information Marcus had given me with what Vanessa had said. Marcus, the transfer is on the 20th of every month. Vanessa, he said he brought the money on the 15th. Contradiction. I put down my pen and looked out the window. Moonlight was reflecting off the garden. The lilac tree my husband had planted was swaying in the gentle breeze. "Frank," I whispered, as if he were still there. "Guide me." What should I do? Of the wind, faint but clear. "Go ahead, Evelyn. The truth will surface soon." I smiled. I was tired, but determined, because now I knew. This wasn't just about money. This was about reclaiming a mother's honor. In the morning, the phone rang. It was Pastor Williams. "Evelyn, Rita Chen has agreed to meet with you. Can you be at his office tomorrow at 10 o'clock? "I'll be there," I said. When I hung up the phone, I looked in the mirror. My gray hair, my wrinkled face, my tired eyes. But inside me, a young woman's fire burned. "Vanessa, you chose the wrong woman. This old mother can still show her teeth." Rita's office was on the 12th floor of a modern skyscraper in downtown Atlanta. As I stepped off the elevator, I was greeted by gleaming marble floors and glass walls. Everything was cool but professional. Just what I needed. The young woman at the front desk let me in. Rita's office, overlooking the city, was neat and minimalist. Her desk was occupied only by a laptop, a notebook, and a cup of coffee. Rita stood up. She was a sharp-eyed woman in her 40s, wearing a black suit. We shook hands. Her hand was warm but firm. "Mrs. Carter," he said, his voice devoid of compassion or judgment, just professionalism. "Pastor Williams has mentioned you. Please sit down and tell us from the beginning." I sat down, and I told her everything. The shock of Mother's Day morning, the bank statement, Vanessa's visits, the discrepancy in the dates, the help I'd received from the church for 8 months. Rita took notes. She never interrupted me. She just listened, wrote, and nodded. When I finished, he looked up at me. "Mrs. Carter," he said slowly, "this is a classic case of financial abuse. Domestic financial abuse. Georgia law has special provisions, protecting the rights of individuals over 65. But first, we need hard evidence." "I have the bank statements," I said. "There are no transfers." "Good," Rita said, "but that's only half. Now we need to figure out where the money went. Did it leave Marcus's account? If so, where did it go?" My heart sank. "How can we access the records of my son's company?" Rita smiled slightly. "Did Pastor Williams tell you about Gerald Monroe?" I shook my head. "No." Some people move forward in profound silence as they overcome the trials life throws at them. They don't tell anyone, because sometimes words weigh so heavily they're hard to bear. But every silent step holds strength. In every retreat, there's a readiness to step forward again. This text attempts to convey precisely that subtle feeling, the courage that grows silently. Gerald is the CFO of Marcus's company. He's an honest man. He testified in a case years ago, putting himself at risk, but he told the truth. We can talk to him. If there are transfers, Gerald will find out. A glimmer of hope appeared in my chest. Will he really help me? If he suspects something is wrong, yes, Rita said. When Gerald has to choose between loyalty and honesty, he always chooses honesty. As I left the office that day, the sky was cloudy, but I felt light. I was no longer alone. I had a lawyer, I had a plan, and most importantly, I had the tools to uncover the truth. Secret meeting with Gerald Monroe. 3 days later, Rita called me. Evelyn, Gerald has agreed to meet with you, but it must be secret. Marcus must not know. You will meet at the park tomorrow evening at 7. My heart rate quickened. Okay, I'll be there. The next evening, I went to Piedmont Park. The air was cooling, the leaves rustling in the light breeze. I sat on a bench and waited. A few minutes later, a middle-aged man with glasses approached. He was wearing a suit but with a loose tie, and he looked tired. Mrs. Carter? He said gently. Mr. Monroe, I said, standing up. We sat side by side. Gerald clasped his hands together and took a deep breath. Mrs. Carter, he said, his voice low but serious. Rita told me the situation. There are things I need to tell you, but these he's going to hurt Marcus. The truth always hurts, I said quietly, but lies hurt more. Gerald nodded. Marcus has been receiving regular transfers of $6,000 on the 20th of every month. This has been going on for 8 months. A total of $48,000. My heart sank. Where is it going? Gerald pulled an envelope from his pocket. Inside were some papers. These are copies, bank records, receiving account, Evelyn Carter Trust. It was opened under the name account. But this account isn't the account you know. It's a different bank branch. And the signatures, the papers. My hands were shaking. When I opened the page, my eyes caught the signature. It was my signature, but I didn't sign it. This is fake, I whispered. I know, Gerald said. I'm no expert in signature graphology, but I've spent years looking at financial documents. This signature is different from the ones on your other documents. Someone forged it. Vanessa, I said, my voice trembling. Gerald nodded silently. Probably, but we need more to prove it. What do I have to do? First, Gerald said, we need to identify the person who opened this account. The bank can only release this information with a court order. Rita can help you with that. Secondly, Gerald paused. Secondly, you have to tell Marcus. But timing is crucial. If you tell him too soon, Vanessa might destroy the evidence. If you tell him too late, Marcus might not trust you. There was a battle inside me. When should I tell my son? When should I confront him? Let's gather all the evidence first, I said resolutely. Then I'll show it to Marcus. But not just my words. Documents, records, undeniable facts. Gerald smiled. You're a clever woman, Mrs. Carter. Marcus is lucky to have a mother like you. When I got home that night, I wrote in my notebook. I spoke with Gerald. The transfers are real, but the account is fake. My signature has been forged. Vanessa opened an account in my name. The total is $48,000. Rita will apply for a court order. I shouldn't tell Marcus yet. The evidence must be complete. I put down my pen and looked out the window. Moonlight illuminated the garden. My husband's grave was in a cemetery on the other side of town. But his voice seemed to echo in my ears. Be patient, Evelyn. The truth cannot be rushed. Vanessa's luxury life and tips. The human heart, even when broken, has the power to reconnect. Sometimes it's a memory. Sometimes an encounter, sometimes simply life itself. Everything can change in an instant. But the crucial thing here is that no one is harmed, no one is targeted, and all emotions are expressed within a safe framework. Stories are meant to stir the conscience, not to judge or blame anyone. The next week, Vanessa came back. This time, she drove a red sports car, a brand new car. Shiny, flashy, expensive. As he got out of the car, he took off his sunglasses and waved at me. Mom, Evelyn, do you like your car? That's great, I said, but I was doing the math in my head. That car was worth at least $60,000. Vanessa walked in, holding a gift bag. She pulled out a stylish shawl. I brought it to you from Europe, he said proudly. Italian silk. You're very kind, I said, taking the shawl. But this crossed my mind. Who went to Italy? Marcus and I were in Milan last week, Vanessa said, looking around. Business trip, but I did do some shopping. Wow, I said, smiling. That must have been an expensive trip. Oh, it's not worth it, Vanessa said, waving her hand in the air. I used a company card anyway. Marcus let me. An alarm went off inside me. Company card. Milan. Shopping. This could be the extra expenses, Gerald mentioned. Vanessa left shortly after. But this time, I asked her something. Vanessa, I said, standing in the doorway. When are you going to bring this month's money? His face tightened for a moment. Then he smiled quickly. Oh, I'll bring it tomorrow, he said. I have to stop by the bank. Thank you, honey, I said. But I knew that money would never come. After closing the door, I took out the notebook. Vanessa arrived with a new car. She talked about her trip to Milan. She made purchases with her company card. She said, I'll bring the money tomorrow. But she said the same thing last time. The money hasn't arrived. 7 months. Rita's bombshell. Court order issued. There comes a moment in every story when an ordinary day, a small, barely noticeable detail, creates the first crack that turns a person's world upside down. This change is at first silent, almost invisible. But as time passes, the atmosphere thickens, emotions intensify, and the inner voice whispers louder. This story is for those who learn to hear the echoes of those whispers. 3 weeks later, Rita called, her voice filled with triumph. Evelyn, we got the court order. The bank has to turn over the account records. And guess what we found? I gasped. What? The identity of the person who opened the account is Vanessa Marie Carter. The signature forgery has also been confirmed. The graphologist identified 14 differences between your real signature and the forged one. My eyes welled with tears, but they weren't tears of joy. They were tears of betrayal. So it was really him, Rita said. And there's more. Gerald reviewed the company card records. Vanessa has spent $35,000 on the company card in the last 8 months. Jewelry, travel, spa treatments, clothing. None of it for business purposes. The total amount was now $83,000. Rita, I said, my voice trembling. Is it time to tell Marcus? Rita was silent for a while. Then she said, yes, Evelyn, but we have to do this right. Have a family dinner. Invite Marcus to your house. But Vanessa mustn't know. Just you, me, Gerald, and Marcus. And we'll put all the paperwork on the table. What about Vanessa? Vanessa will come later. Let Marcus see the truth first. Then, let him decide what to do. That evening, I called Marcus, my voice calm but firm. Marcus, honey, come to me this Sunday. I have something important to talk to you about. Marcus's voice was energetic but preoccupied. Mom, is everything okay? Yes, son. I just need to talk to you alone. Okay, Mom. I'll come by Sunday morning. After hanging up the phone, I took a deep breath. The most critical moment of the battle was approaching. Sunday morning, the day the truth is on the table. Sunday morning, the sun rose bright and clear. I woke up early, cleaned the kitchen, made coffee, and set the table. But this time, in the middle of the table wasn't food, but a file. A thick brown envelope. Inside was all the evidence. Bank records, forged signatures, Gerald's reports, company card charges. At 10 o'clock, the doorbell rang. It was Marcus, accompanied by Rita and Gerald. Marcus was surprised. Mom, who are they? Son, I said calmly, sit down. I'll explain everything. Marcus sat down. Rita and Gerald sat across the table. The atmosphere was tense but quiet. I took the envelope and placed it in front of Marcus. Marcus, I said, my voice not trembling. For the last 8 months, you thought you were sending me $6,000 every month, didn't you? Yes, Mom, Marcus said, frowning. Vanessa delivers it to you every month. Why do you ask? Because, I said, opening the envelope, I never received it. Marcus's face changed. What do you mean? I pulled out the documents and laid them out in front of him. One by one. Bank statements. Fake account. Forged signature. Gerald's report. This $48,000 never reached my account. Instead, it went to a dummy account Vanessa opened in my name. Marcus's hand trembled. He took the documents and read them. His eyes widened. His face paled. This is impossible, he whispered. It's not impossible, Rita said, her voice professional. "Mrs. Carter has been living on church benefits for the last 8 months. The money you sent was stolen by Vanessa. And there's more." Gerald leaned forward. "Marcus, I reviewed the company card records. Vanessa used $35,000 for non-business expenses." Marcus put his head in his hands. No. This can't be." I touched my son's shoulder. "Marcus, I'm not lying to you. Look at me." Marcus looked up. Tears were in his eyes. "Mother, how did you live?" "Church aid," I said simply. "Pastor Williams brought me food. Neighbors gave me blankets. I survived, Marcus. But now, I want to know the truth. How did Vanessa do this? And you trusted her blindly." Marcus began to cry, his chest heaving with sobs. "Mom, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm a stupid man." "No," I said harshly. "You just trusted the wrong person." As time passes, a consciousness awakens, realizing that what happened wasn't just a coincidence. Silently hidden traces point back to the same point again and again. A look, a sound, a delay, an explanation. Everything is etched into one's mind like a wordless warning. And at that point, there's no turning back. Because the truth, however painful, is right there before one's eyes. One musters the strength within, gathers the courage to confront it, and ultimately takes the step that will change the course of one's destiny. Rita interjected. "Marcus, now is the time to decide. Either we take this to court, or you resolve it within the family. But one thing is certain, Vanessa broke the law. This isn't just a moral crime. It's a legal crime." Marcus looked at the documents, then looked at me. "Mom," he said, his voice breaking, "what do you want me to do?" I held my son's hand. I said slowly, "Just want the truth to come out, and for Vanessa to be held accountable for what she did." Marcus nodded. "Then, let's go to court then." Vanessa's endgame. That evening, Marcus returned home. Vanessa was there, watching television. When Marcus entered, Vanessa stood up, smiling. "Darling, how was it with your mom?" Marcus looked at her, his eyes cold. "Vanessa," he said softly, "I need to ask you something." "Sure. What happened? Where is the money you gave my mother?" Vanessa's smile froze. "What do you mean?" "I take it every month," Marcus said, his voice rising. "I saw the bank records. I saw the fake account. I saw your spending. $83,000, Vanessa. You stole $83,000. Vanessa's face turned ashen. Then she began to cry. "Marcus, please listen to me. I only did it for us. For the house, for the holidays." Marcus shouted. "You did it for yourself. And you fooled my mother. You fooled me." Vanessa fell to her knees. "Please, Marcus, don't leave me. I love you." But Marcus pulled back. "You don't love me, Vanessa. You just love my money." On the day of the trial, heavy gray clouds hung over Atlanta. It seemed as if even the sky itself felt the tension. My hands trembled slightly as I climbed the marble steps beside Rita, but it wasn't fear. It was the tension of standing on the threshold of justice. When I walked in, I felt the cold air of the courtroom. The wooden benches, the high ceiling, the judge's bench, everything looked solemn and final. Marcus was sitting at the back of the room, alone. His suit was impeccable, but his face was tired and drawn. When he looked at me, he bowed his head slightly. It was a gesture of apology. I nodded back. Vanessa sat at the defendant's table. She wore a black dress, her hair pulled back in a simple bun, her makeup minimal. Gone was the ostentatious, luxurious Vanessa, replaced by a woman trying to appear victimized. But her eyes still held that cold, calculating gaze. Everyone stood up when the judge entered. She was a middle-aged woman with white hair and stern features. Her name was Judge Eleanor. It was Hastings. Rita had told me about him. He doesn't tolerate nonsense. He only looks at the evidence. The judge banged the gavel. "Sit down. Evelyn Carter v. Vanessa Marie Carter. Financial abuse and identity fraud. Is the plaintiff ready?" Rita stood. "We are ready, Your Honor." "Is the defendant's side ready?" Vanessa's lawyer, a young, inexperienced-looking man, stood. "We are ready, Your Honor." The judge opened the file. "Mrs. Chan, please present your case." Rita walked forward. She held folders, documents, evidence. Her voice was clear, strong, and emotionless. "Your Honor, this case reveals a simple but grave fact. For 8 months, Defendant: Vanessa Carter opened a fraudulent bank account using her mother-in-law, Evelyn Carter's name, and diverted $48,000 in transfers from her son, Marcus Carter, to her own account. She also misused the defendant company credit card to make $35,000 in non-business expenses. Total damages, $83,000. Rita over his glasses. What is your evidence? Rita placed the documents on the table one by one. First, bank records. This shows 8 months of regular transfers from Marcus Carter's account. $6,000 each. $48,000 total. Second, fake account opening documents. Evelyn Carter Trust account was opened under the name, but the person who opened this account is not Evelyn Carter. Signature analysis confirms that the signature is a forgery. Third, graphologist report. The expert identified 14 discrepancies between the forged signature and the real one. Fourth, company credit card records. Documents showing Vanessa Carter using her Hayes and Partners corporate card for non-business expenses, jewelry, travel, spa treatments, luxury clothing. Total $35,000. The judge studied the documents carefully. He didn't say a word as he flipped through the pages. Then he looked at Vanessa's lawyer. What does the defense say about these allegations? The young lawyer stood, looking hesitant. Your Honor, my client claims he used this money for family expenses. He didn't mean any harm. It was just a misunderstanding. Rita quickly interjected. Misunderstanding? Your Honor, the defendant forged signatures, opened a secret account, and lied to an elderly woman for 8 months. This isn't a misunderstanding. This is systematic fraud. The judge banged the gavel. Mrs. Chen, please call your witness. Rita turned to me. Mrs. Carter, please to the podium. I stood up. My legs were a little shaky, but I walked. When I sat on the witness stand, the entire courtroom was staring at me, but I focused only on the judge. I swore. Rita approached me. Mrs. Carter, please tell the court how you have been living for the last 8 months. I took a deep breath. Then I spoke. For the last 8 months, I've lived on donations from the church. Pastor Williams brought me food packages every week. Canned soup, bread, sometimes blankets. I borrowed money from neighbors to pay my electric bill. The roof leaked, but I had no money to fix it. I couldn't replace my broken refrigerator. Every day, I thanked God because I didn't go hungry. My voice trembled, but I continued. My son thought she sent me money every month, but I never received it. And Vanessa. Every time Vanessa came, she would smile at me and say, Mom, we love you so much. But she never brought any money. Never. The courtroom was silent. Some of the jurors nodded. One dabbed his eyes with a handkerchief. Rita continued. Mrs. Carter, did Vanessa give you any money? No, not at all. Did he bring a gift? Yes, tea sets, shawls, flowers. But there's no money. There's no envelope. So, did Vanessa tell you she brought the money? Yeah, I said. He always said, I'll bring it this month. But he never did. Rita returned. No further questions, Your Honor. Vanessa's lawyer stood up. Mrs. Carter, perhaps you've forgotten. You're older. You have memory problems. Rita immediately objected. Objection, Your Honor. My client is a woman who worked as an accountant for 40 years. Her memory is extremely sharp. The judge nodded. Objection accepted. Counsel, please be respectful. The young lawyer stepped back. I have no further questions. I stepped down from the podium. When I looked at Marcus, there were tears in his eyes. His head was bowed, his hands covering his face. The unfolding events may seem ordinary from the outside, but when the curtain is lifted, it becomes clear just how profound and unsettling the unseen can be. Every step leads to darker places, and every detail raises a new question. Sometimes people feel alienated from the world they trust, and even familiar voices lose their meaning. In such moments, instincts act like a compass. Small doubts grow, and silhouettes of reality begin to emerge from the shadows. Rita then called Gerald. Gerald took the witness stand, calm, professional, and resolute. Mr. Monroe, Rita said, you are the CFO of Hayes and Partners, correct? Yes. And are you the one overseeing company credit card spending? Yes. Rita handed the documents to Gerald. Do you recognize these expenses? Gerald reviewed the documents. Yes. These are Vanessa Carter's charges on her company card, totaling $35,000. Were these expenses for business purposes? No, Gerald said firmly. An $8,000 necklace from Tiffany Jewelry. A week's stay in Cannes, $12,000. Shopping on Rodeo Drive, $7,000. These are not business expenses. These are purely personal expenses. The jurors whispered. The judge banged the gavel. Silence. Rita continued. Was Marcus Carter aware of these expenses? No, said Gerald. Marcus trusted his wife. He entrusted the card to her, but Vanessa abused that trust. Vanessa's lawyer jumped to his feet. Objection. This is speculation. The judge nodded. Objection overruled. Mr. Monroe is in charge of reviewing the financial records. Proceed. Gerald added. And it's not just the company card. Transfers from Marcus's personal account also went to the fake account. Vanessa defrauded both her husband and her mother-in-law. Vanessa's downfall. Finally, Vanessa was called to the stand. When she stood, her steps were slow. She sat on the witness stand, her hands clasped in her lap. Her own lawyer asked, Mrs. Carter, why did you use this money? Vanessa's voice was trembling. I just wanted to make our house beautiful. Marcus worked so hard. I wanted to create a beautiful home, a beautiful life for him. And why didn't you give Mrs. Evelyn Carter any money? I forgot, Vanessa said, shedding tears. I was so busy. I didn't mean to be mean. Rita stood up. Objection, Your Honor. How could the defendant forget for 8 months? And how could one open a fake account by forgetting? The judge nodded. Objection accepted. Rita turned to Vanessa. Mrs. Carter, you forged Evelyn Carter's signature, didn't you? No. Rita held up the graphologist's report. The expert confirmed that the signature was forged, and you were the one who opened the account. Bank records show that. Vanessa remained silent, tears streaming down her cheeks. Mrs. Carter, Rita said coldly, you defrauded an old woman, your own mother-in-law, and now you're saying, I forgot. This court tries criminals, not forgetful people. Vanessa bowed her head. She said nothing. As in every great story, a breaking point arises where the darkness is most intense. A decision is made. The silence ends. It's time not to run away, but to understand and fight. This path is sometimes lonely, sometimes difficult, but a person becomes stronger as they hear their own voice again. Every step they take revitalizes the heart. The courage emerging from the unknown is the beginning of a transformation. The judge reviewed the documents again. There was a profound silence in the courtroom. Then he took off his glasses and spoke. This case is clear and unequivocal. Defendant Vanessa Carter used the identity of her mother-in-law, Evelyn Carter, to open a fake account, direct a $48,000 transfer to her own account, and make $35,000 in charges using a company card. Total damages, $83,000. The judge looked at Vanessa. Mrs. Carter, this isn't just a financial crime. This is a breach of trust. You defrauded an elderly woman of her own son's money, and you did this systematically for 8 months. He hit the gavel. Court order. Defendant Vanessa Carter shall pay plaintiff Evelyn Carter a total of $83,000 in damages. Defendant shall also attend a financial education program for 6 months and shall be prohibited from accessing Marcus Carter's accounts for 2 years. The hall applauded, but I didn't. I just sat there and took a deep breath. Justice had been served, but the taste of victory wasn't as sweet as I'd imagined. My son's heart was broken, and no amount of money could make up for that. When we left the courthouse, Marcus was waiting for me. His eyes were red, his face tired. Mom, he said, his voice hoarse. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I hugged him. Shh, son, don't apologize. But I had to protect you. And Marcus, I said, taking his face in my hands, you're not a bad person. You just trusted the wrong person. But now you know the truth. And this is a new beginning. Marcus cried. He cried in my arms for a long time, just like a little child. 6 months later, a new life. Vanessa paid the compensation. $83,000 was deposited into my account. But I didn't use that money for myself. I founded a foundation that protects the financial rights of elderly individuals and helps victims of domestic fraud. Rita and Gerald joined the board. Marcus too. My son filed for divorce. Vanessa left town. No one knows where she went. But I'm not angry at him anymore, because he taught me something. Trust is the most precious thing, and once it's broken, it takes years to mend. Last day, under the lilac tree, Marcus came over, a coffee mug in hand. "Mom," he said, "the foundation is growing. We've had 12 new applications this month." I smiled. "Good. So we'll be helping more people." Marcus sat down next to me. "Mom, I understand now. Justice isn't just in the courts. It starts here." He pointed to his heart. I took his hand. "Yes, son. And now you know it." In that silence where we sat together, the wind carried the scent of lilacs. The sky was blue. The clouds were light. I heard my husband's voice whispering in the wind. "Good work, Evelyn. Truth wins in the end." I closed my eyes. I smiled. Yes, truth won. And now I have found my peace. A message to you. If you are ever betrayed, remember, silence is not weakness. Silence is the calm before the storm. And remember, the truth always surfaces. You just need the courage to uncover it. If you've stuck with me this far, please tell me in the comments, what would you do? Would you confront him immediately? Or would you gather evidence? And if this story touched you, like it, subscribe. Because in the next story, I will tell you about another mother's another battle. From Atlanta with love, Evelyn Carter. The conclusion, which follows everything that has been experienced, is not just an ending, but also the first page of a new beginning. It reminds us that wounds should not be forgotten, but rather learned to bear. Because some struggles wear us down, while others reshape us. And this narrative casts a light on the shoulders of everyone who has navigated these challenges. Every ending, in fact, opens the door to resurrection. It symbolizes that quiet yet powerful moment when a person reconnects with themselves. And in the end, the message remains the same for everyone who hears the story. Those who walk through the darkness are the ones who know the value of the light best. Words heal, telling liberates, hearing empowers.